We talk about the underlying problems for why we don't have money. There is a definite experience that people have of bringing in a lot of money and then getting rid of it quickly. I mean, that's the whole lottery winner fiasco, where such a high percentage of lottery winners within 5 years have lost all the money. It seems inconceivable, really. Like, how could you even do that? But they do it because it's so uncomfortable for them to have that much money. And, they've never even learned how to manage that kind of money. And so it just becomes very challenging and difficult. Hey there, and welcome to Money and You. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. My search for more fulfilling work led me to career and business coaching, where I stumbled upon a game-changing discovery. Money issues often start with our mindset and habits. You see, our relationship with money is the key to overcoming those frustrating financial obstacles. As an entrepreneur, coach, and problem solver, I'm passionate about helping you create a great relationship with money. Because, turns out, that's the foundation for a limit-free life. Each week on Money and You, I speak with amazing guests about all things money, mindset, practical tips, and everything in between. We're here to give you new insights, education, and empowerment so money can be one of your favorite relationships. So join us for some lively conversations and let's transform your financial life together. Hello, and welcome to the Money and You show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. Doing a solo show today on something that I think you'll find very interesting. I'm actually going to recount some experiences I had recently that I learned a lot from, and I think you will too. You know how you are having an argument with someone in your family over something silly? We've all done it. We all do it all the time. I just witnessed my daughter doing it with somebody. And, so we're all upset about something that seems small. Your clothes are always on the ground. You never pick up your towels. I tried to help you with something and you didn't appreciate it. That seems like the problem, and you can erupt into a huge fight over this relatively small thing, thinking that's the problem. But we all know when we step back, or when everything kind of calms down, that it wasn't really about the towels. It was about something deeper. Either you don't respect my time, you think I just have all day to just pick up your towels, whatever it is, there's always something underneath. And that it's very much the same with your money. So, people come to me and I hear a lot of things like my bank balance is just always at zero again at the end of the month. I don't really understand money and I don't think I ever will. I never learned about money. There's all kinds of things that I hear on a regular basis. I just can't get out of debt. I can't stop spending. Even when I make a lot of money, it's gone again in a minute. There are a lot of things that people come to and they want a solution for that problem. But that problem isn't the actual problem. And we could find a solution. We could probably fix it in the moment, or create a plan to fix it, but it's still not the real problem. So chances are it's going to keep happening. If it's not towels, it's going to be something else that felt like this person didn't respect my time. So we want to make sure when we're spending a lot of time and energy fixing problems that we're fixing the right problems that will, create a long-lasting, sustainable solution. And with money, it can get complicated because we have what I'm going to call appearances. And I know in the Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles talks about believing in the truth regardless of appearances. So sometimes things look a certain way, but we know deep down there's a different truth that we can believe in if we discipline ourselves a little bit. And these appearances are just, kind of, they're not mirages, but I'm going to use that word for the sake of this conversation. And so we have to remember what's real versus what is appearance. And so I just want to talk for a little bit about what some of the underlying issues with money can be, because we're like, I don't know an underlying issue. I just know I'm annoyed that, I never have enough money. It must be I don't make enough, or I don't, I just can't keep money around for one reason or another. So the most important thing for your financial well-being is to get underneath this and to figure out what is the real problem. And there are many, many issues that come up for people that, again, are subconscious beliefs. And on top of this idea is something that Gay Hendricks, who is he's a psychiatrist, he's a prolific author, speaker, and coach to celebrities and all kinds of athletes and people these days. He's an amazing man. He wrote The Big Leap. He wrote many, many books, and they're all great. The Big Leap is literally one of my favorites. I think everybody should read that year after year, because every time you read it, you take more out of it. But he addresses something called an upper limit problem. He addresses many things, but the upper limit problem is that idea that when things are going well, something happened, you got the big client you never thought you could work with, you got into the college of your dreams, whatever it is, some great thing will happen, you met the person of your dreams. There's something in our unconscious mind that will be happy about this, ecstatic maybe, but in that excitement and in that anticipation of great things, in our subconscious mind, something comes up that creates something else that maybe is sort of a self-sabotage. So maybe this great thing happened to you, and next thing you know, you're in a giant fight with your best friend. It's almost like in our brain, we can't accept good things sort of stacking on top of one another because we have this upper limit problem. And we have this idea that, yeah, great things happen and then bad things happen and kind of undermine it, or, I'm never going to keep on this kind of trajectory upward because that's not the way things work. We can't be having great things happen all the time. So something's going to come along and just kind of wreck it. And so we do that basically to ourselves. And I was in a meeting with a woman. She has an architectural firm, had just gotten, honestly, the biggest client she's ever gotten. And we were both listening to Gay Hendricks on Zoom because he came and spoke in a group that we're both in, which was just like so amazing. And so he was talking about this upper limit problem. And then she was talking after about how she was literally in her car listening to him, because she'd gotten this huge job, like bigger than anything that her firm had ever had. And she almost immediately got like vertigo and a raging headache. And so it's one of these things where our psyche, our whatever it is, has a hard time dealing with really great things happening. We love it, we want it, we work toward it. And when it happens, we have some complex emotions around it. I mean, we might be super happy. Hopefully you are, but down the road, other things happen that are kind of like, yeah, this puts me back in check. This puts me back where, I feel comfortable, where good things happen, but also other things happen. So life feels normal. And Gay Hendricks has this whole philosophy about getting comfortable with things being really good, and more good things happening and more good things happening. And this idea that we don't have to anticipate something coming along and kind of, putting us back where we were. So I don't do a good job explaining this. I'm trying really hard, but I would suggest reading The Big Leap because that will really help you. And he had just written The Big Leap Year, which I also got, which is more of a daily question. He has these wonder questions he asks. So the point of this is just to get kind of underneath some of these money things. And maybe when something really great happens to you financially, there is an upper limit problem popping up and showing up inside of you that is disallowing more of that. And so I just want you to be aware of that, because as humans, we're more comfortable where we've been, or where, we're comfortable within limits. It's almost like the little kid who needs boundaries, and they're happier and more comfortable when they know, like, you have to take a nap at this time, whether you want to or not. Like, they might scream and yell and not want to go, but there's something about the routine and the whole thing that creates comfort. And we don't really outgrow that. So if we start thinking that we're going to get, really big and all kinds of great things are going to happen. Where our mind goes is, but the people around me might not, I might not relate to them anymore. They might not be my friends anymore. I might, get all this and get a big head. I might, all kinds of things go on that just make us uncomfortable. We haven't experienced necessarily a consistent flow of good things happening, and we don't really know how to manage that. We've developed coping skills for when things go bad, but we haven't developed the skills of receiving and accepting our greatness, if you will. And that is something to be aware of, so that we don't sabotage ourselves and with money. And it happens a lot with money. We talk about the underlying problems for why we don't have money. There is a definite experience that people have of bringing in a lot of money and then getting rid of it quickly. I mean, that's the whole lottery winner fiasco, where such a high percentage of lottery winners within 5 years have lost all the money. It seems inconceivable, really. Like, how could you even do that? But they do it because it's so uncomfortable for them to have that much money. And they've never even learned how to manage that kind of money. And so it just becomes very challenging and difficult. But all of us have that to some extent. And sometimes we don't feel we're worthy, or we don't feel like we deserve it, or we just have general receiving problems. That's a real thing, not being able to receive great things into our life. We're not trained how to do that. We're trained how to give and kind of conditioned that that's being a good person. But nobody really teaches us how to receive well. And it's an interesting dilemma, because we're after things, we have goals, there are things we want. Ooh, gonna sneeze. And yet, when they come into our life, we have this sort of receiving block. And so becoming aware of that, and it might be money, it might be compliments, it might be all kinds of things, but we want to develop our ability to receive gracefully and with appreciation, and not deflect that. And I think sometimes that happens. If you don't feel worthy of having money, but you're a great earner, you will bring a lot in, and you will make sure that it is not in your bank account for very long. And that is an unconscious belief system that is producing these actions. And so I think it's really important to understand, when you have a money problem, what is that problem really? And Gay Hendricks was so good at having these wonder questions. And I think if you buy The Big Leap Year, there'll be a lot of these wonder questions that are asked on a daily basis. But some of these questions, are really interesting. And they're called wonder questions because you ask yourself this, and, I wish I had an example right now. I'm just going to make one up. A question like a big windfall comes to you, or you get a big raise at work, and you want to ask yourself, am I willing? I think that was a better question. Am I willing to enjoy this and to accept it and be grateful for it, and, change the level of my life because of this? Questions like that will make you ask yourself a few things and contemplate that, versus sort of a desperate question like, oh my gosh, what am I going to use this money for? There are many questions you can ask yourself. And honestly, Tony Robbins has always said the quality of the questions you ask yourself will determine the quality of your life. And paraphrasing probably, but that is, it's a really interesting thing. And because there's so much emotional stuff around money, we want to be very careful that what we see isn't what it appears to be, and we want to not react based on those appearances. So if you're in a lot of debt and you start thinking, I just can never get out of debt, A, that's a terrible thing to tell yourself, and B, instead of going down that road and reacting, and maybe even saying, who cares? I'm just going to get in more debt. I'm always in debt. You want to ask yourself, what is going on underneath? Why? And how have I brought myself to this point, so many times, what has gone on. Really look deeply into how you've operated, what you've told yourself. This is a really great area to get coaching in as well, because somebody can ask you the right questions so that you will uncover some of this. And that idea of I'll never get out of debt will immediately go away, because once you understand why you got there in the first place and what you were thinking and what was happening, it's very revealing. And you will almost immediately be able to, if asked, okay, so what would you do in the future to avoid these things, you will easily know. And so these are the kinds of things you can do yourself. I also, on Friday, kind of recapping everything I've been doing here, but it's also relevant to what I talk about on this show, I did a releasing exercise with a friend. It took many, many hours. We had done it before a long time ago. We forgot. We thought maybe 2 hours. It was like 5 hours and we were done. But it was a really excellent, and she came and said, I'm having, and she's a very successful entrepreneur, and she said, I'm having some money blocks. Like I'm stuck right now. And I think a lot of it is old stuff, family stuff, thinking back on how my family had their ups and downs with money and things like that. And she really was feeling that something needed to be released. So she and I actually developed this releasing exercise years ago on a retreat. And so we thought about, what is unwanted in my life right now? And this was a question. And so we listed out a bunch of things that were unwanted in our life. So, maybe that debt is an unwanted thing, or maybe, how much money I'm earning is an unwanted thing, or whatever. So what's unwanted? And then this is the key, what are the beliefs, 3 beliefs for each of these unwanted things that I think. And so that was very revealing. So, because if you think, well, the unwanted thing is $100,000 in debt or $20,000 in debt. So what are the beliefs behind this unwanted thing? And so a belief might be, well, I'm always in debt, or a belief might be, I never make enough money to cover X, Y, and Z. So what are the beliefs? And then, then we started to shift it a little bit into, okay, given those beliefs, what proof is there that you're not at square one? Which is a really interesting question, very unusual question. And that question can lead to things like, well, I have started working with a debt consolidation group, or I have actually been making more than the minimum payments for, in this year, or whatever it is. So what is the sort of proof that you are not at square one? And then when you look at those things, you can start thinking, okay, what are some new beliefs? And this is where it really gets fun, because, and there's this releasing. So those old beliefs that have gotten us to the unwanted things, we literally wrote them down. And I mean, you can burn them, you can do whatever. We didn't have a place to burn anything. So we literally, okay, a little weird, wrote it on toilet paper and flushed it. And so we wrote all the beliefs down. It's just symbolic of a letting go process, which is always kind of fun. If you haven't done something like that, when you write what you don't want on something and then you burn it or get rid of it somehow, there's sort of a physical releasing that goes on that's kind of cool. And then we started working on what are the new beliefs, and then what are some strategies and actions I can take based on these new beliefs. And I'll tell you, it's a process, takes a little time, but releasing is exactly what the word sounds like. It is letting go, getting rid of bad energy and bad feelings and bad thoughts and negative words, and replacing it with that, those better beliefs. And so it's a way forward. It's a way to let go, and it's a way to move forward with new thinking, so that you can take new action. So I just really wanted to share that with you. If you think that could come in handy, the releasing can be not just done with money, but for anything in your life that you want to release and start thinking differently about. And I love just talking to you about the upper limit problem, because I think that is one of the most important, significant issues that come up, challenges around money, is this upper limit problem. And so if you can move past that, then anything is possible. So thanks so much for listening, and please share the show if you liked it. You can reach out to me at michelle@limitfreelife.com. I love this conversation, so if you want to actually have a conversation about this with me and pick my brain, a little bit, you can go to limitfreelife.com and schedule a 30-minute conversation with me. This is my favorite topic. I would love to hear about something that you might be struggling with. And so please go ahead and book yourself onto my calendar. And love it if you'd sign up for my, to be part of my community, and you'll be getting all kinds of wisdom in your inbox and other offers and information about events. That's michelle@limitfreelife.com. And you can sign up for my newsletter there. All right. So thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week.